This is Jason Jones with the City Salt. We're here with Jeremy Miller, who is chairman of the Roanoke Rugby Club. He is also coach of Roanoke College men's and women's rugby and a member of the Roanoke Rugby Hall of Fame. Thanks for being here with us, Jeremy.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. So you're the chairman of the Roanoke Rugby Club, which started in 1972.
Yep.
And it was founded by Bob Copty and Jim Bowden. Will you tell us, what do you know about the history of the founding of the club?
Jim and Bob had played, I think both, I know Jim played at UVA, I think both of them played at UVA, and after they graduated, wanted get a team going. They tried in the spring of '72, and then in the fall they played their first match. And then since then, we've been going strong.
Very cool. So 5 decades or more going strong. One of the seems like key parts of that history is in 1988, this clubhouse right here was given to the club or donated to the club, I guess, by Bill Gibson, or they at least get to use it through him.
Yeah.
Tell us more about Bill and what his relationship with Roanoke Rugby is.
So Bill played for Roanoke. He's one of our old boys, which is kind of a term for an alumni. So donated the clubhouse, like I said, years ago. And then I would say 5 or 6 years ago, did the upgrade that you see now to really take it to the next level that it looks like now. It's really nice. So we are very lucky to have Bill as one of our old boys. He's a great guy, but also the fact that we get to use this location because just about every other club that we play, one of the things in rugby is you host after the match. And we've got the advantage of coming down here where we've got restrooms and refrigerators and tables and chairs, and it costs whatever we pay for the event. Everybody else has to pay a restaurant or a bar, get somebody to host them, which is how a lot of clubs get their sponsorship.
Sure.
Like we'll come to you for post matches, you sponsor our kits, et cetera. But it really helps us out that we've got this space, not just for those, but just for other events that we do and just for the club in general.
Really cool. Where does that tradition of hosting come from?
It's international matches. So, the Six Nations matches that we were talking about, after those matches are over, Scotland's playing at Italy. Italy hosts a dinner with both teams afterwards. So it's just a rugby tradition since before probably even this club started.
That's awesome. The teams around here keep it going.
Yeah.
And will you tell us more about the league that you play in and the other cities who have teams?
Sure. We're in Division III. So in our league, it is us, it's called Virginia RFC, but it's the men's team. I think they started in 1969. There is a team in Richmond, James River, Newport News, and Virginia Beach, and we play home and away over fall and spring. And then obviously there's Division II, Division III that we're in. There's Division I. James River has a Division II team as well. Raleigh, Norfolk, those Rappahannock, Fredericksburg, they have teams that are levels above us.
And I understand there was a larger pool of teams in our area prior to COVID happening. Some of those dropped out. What did you do in Roanoke Rugby in general to ensure that you would keep the program going through that time?
The club just did, once we could kind of get together, just tried to do a lot of just outdoor get-togethers just to keep the social aspect, going. At that same time, which picked a bad time, but it's worked out, as our women's team was started.
Okay.
Right there at the beginning of COVID as well. They now play, teams out of DC and Chesapeake, Rappahannock. So their league as well, but they started about that same time. So the social aspect of rugby is one of the big things of rugby, but it's one of the things that we were able to fortunately kind of lean on to get us through, that period. And fortunately, we've maintained the club, and we've lost 3 teams on this side of the state because of COVID. So,
what happened to those players? Did any of them join up with other teams?
Yep, we've got several Blacksburg players play for us. One of the guys that's on our board is a Blacksburg former player. Several Lynchburg guys play for the team out of Charlottesville now. So, the people that still wanted to play have found a place to play. It's difficult when most teams practice Tuesday and Thursday night, 7 o'clock. So, if you live in, we've got a former Blacksburg player that lives in Wytheville.
Right.
That's far. It's a commitment to, it was a drive for him to get to Blacksburg, and now add another 30 minutes to it. So people are still playing from those teams, but unfortunately, a lot of them just kind of packed it up.
Understood. So when you go to make the roster, I guess you would say, how do you go about getting your players? Where do they come from?
You're just trying to do recruiting drives, social media. I would say that's one of the things that our women's team is great at is recruiting. They had practice the other day. They had 22 out at practice. So just trying to find anybody that you think might be interested. I tell people if you talk to 10 people and one of them comes out, you're doing pretty well, because it's a sport not everybody understands. The things that they may know about it or think they know about it might deter them from coming out, and until they actually come out and kind of see what it's all about, it's hard to get them to come out. But once people play like their first match, usually they're hooked. And that's usually what I tell people that come out, like, don't quit until you play a game. If you play a game and you don't like it, fine. But the number of people that actually, once they play a game, just pack it up doesn't happen as often. That's when they're like, okay,
Sure.
I see what this is. And it also makes a lot more sense when you play a game than it does in practice or watching
Sure.
it on TV. So yeah, that's kind of the thing, to get them out and get them to play a match, and then hopefully you've got them.
Very cool. And so you told me that players 35 and older are considered old boys. That's the nickname given to them. What's the balance of old boys versus the younger players on the teams?
Oh, I mean, every team's different. Our team, we probably have a couple guys that are still actively playing that would be considered old boys.
Okay.
And then some of the bigger clubs will have like an old boys team. Most of the people that play old boys in Virginia play for a club called Cardinals,
Okay.
which does old boys team specifically. And then they also run the college league that my team's in at Roanoke College. So, but some clubs that are bigger have just a full side that's old boys.
Okay, good deal. So is there any carryover between the Roanoke College program and Roanoke Rugby as far as players playing for both?
I mean, if people play for Roanoke College and graduate and stick around, yeah, we'll get one or two from there. One of the girls that plays for me at Roanoke College plays for the women as well. So if they stay here, yeah, it's just it's kind of a niche sport, and then so the number of people that we have at Roanoke College, and then the number that actually are from here that stay here after they graduate.
Right.
But yeah, we do pull from that, and then this club's really good at helping me out, or helping the previous coach out at Roanoke College of maybe helping coach something, or coming and throwing the ball around, or giving some extra bodies at practice from time to time. So this club's been pretty great in helping me support that.
Awesome. And so you're a Roanoke Rugby Hall of Fame inductee from 2016. Yeah. So you obviously played, you also coached, and now you're the chairman. What does it take for someone to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? If you could give us a couple examples of who might be in there.
I mean, there's no strict guidelines, so it's kind of always been the people that are in the Hall of Fame kind of decide who's in the Hall of Fame. Probably part of the reason why we haven't had anybody put in since I was in, because kind of those old boys that were the first classes have now not played with a lot of those people. So,
sure.
But it's a lot of it is number of years on the club, how good you were. Honestly, most of my Hall of Fame is probably because I was from like year 3, started being like treasurer, president, coach, cap. Like I've held a bunch of positions and been around quite a bit and been around a while. Our biggest name is probably Clarence Culpepper, who actually he played football at Tech, but he was the head coach of the U.S. Eagles, played for the Eagles, which is the national team.
Okay.
So that obviously he's a Hall of Famer, but that's our biggest name there, and I believe pretty sure he's in the USA Rugby Hall of Fame, and then Jim Bowden is in the Virginia Rugby Hall of Fame for the state.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah. I wanted to go back to the sponsors. Who are your big sponsors for this season for men's and women's?
So Star Hill has been the men's sponsor for 4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
Twisted Track has sponsored the women's team, and then we've done some other things, smaller sponsorships with like Sports Broads or AFOG or other groups. But as far as like the jerseys or kits, The men's is a Star Hill sponsorship, and the women's is Twisted Tracks at the moment.
Excellent. And you play all the home matches at Highland Park here in Roanoke?
Yep.
Very cool. What's the fan experience like that? Are there a lot of people out watching you, or do you try to promote it to get people out to the matches?
Yep. Just try to put it out on social media. It's free, obviously, so we encourage people to come up and watch and hang out and have a good time. On the 23rd of this month, it should be a really good time because we have a men's and women's match, which doesn't always line up. It's a lot of times we're in different places, so that also helps because then we both support each other as far as cheering each other on. Absolutely.
How much travel do you typically see when you're going to away matches? What's the furthest destination you'd have?
I mean, league-wise, for the men, it's Newport News, Virginia Beach. The women, it's a little further because there aren't as many clubs, so they're going to Frederick, Maryland, D.C., Chesapeake. So league-wise, those are the matches, and then like during the summer, it's mostly tournaments. So you'll go to like Cape Fear, which is in Wilmington, or Asheville has a sevens tournament that we go to. So the summer stuff's all just kind of tournaments, and you just decide if you want to go and you play. And that version of rugby is sevens, which is what's in the Olympics.
Okay, very good. And obviously rugby is a contact sport. Is there a lot of head injuries or concussions or other injuries that you might expect with football or hockey? Is that a carryover to rugby?
I mean, not as much as you would expect, which is, I think, the expectation, I think, is kind of what makes it difficult to get people to come out. One of the big things with rugby, and it has been for years, is the head contact like you're talking about. So in practice, or when you're learning, when you're going to get coaching accreditation, you're having to learn and teach that everything is below the neck. You're not touching the head. You're not hitting the head. You're not wearing any hard plastic equipment. None of that's illegal. So you're also not leading with your head. Like I played football my whole life growing up. You're wearing a helmet. I'll hit him with my helmet. That's not going to hurt. In rugby, you're not wearing a helmet. At best, you're wearing a scrum cap, but that's just foam. Okay. So the fact that you're not wearing equipment that would protect you like that also makes you protect yourself when you're making a tackle. And so that is a big deal. And then in rugby, it's all about you're leading with your shoulder, and you're actually having to wrap up the player. You can't just kind of launch yourself like a missile, and nor would you want to, because like I said, you're not wearing any equipment that's going to protect you.
Absolutely. What goes into the coaching accreditation? Who's the board that oversees that?
It's through USA Rugby. So they put on clinics throughout the year, and you can do some basic online, but then you go and do in person. And they kind of teach some drills, but also how to coach, the philosophies of coaching. And then, like I said, the two biggest things that you have to do when you go do those accreditations is teach the scrum, which is when those two big masses of bodies come together that people might be familiar with, and teaching the tackle. So since those are the two biggest areas where you could have injury, those are the two areas where if you want to be a coach, you're going to teach that part at the clinic to get your accreditation, because that's the big thing they want to make sure is safety.
Very good. Do you partner with any vendors or food trucks or anything like that for the home matches at Highland Park?
No, not really.
No.
We do. So, we have before in October we do a breast cancer fundraiser. Also raises funds for one of our college fund that we started for one of our former players, and we've done some food trucks. But the last few years we've just had people on the team. One of the guys makes pulled pork, and then other people make sides, and we'll sell stuff. But during the matches, the standard matches, we don't really sell food. Or
is that the B Cup tournament?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that still goes on?
Yep. We just did our 15th. So we didn't COVID year. We didn't do one. We sold jerseys, so we still made a donation. But yeah, so it was our 15th, and we split the money between the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation and then Jeremy Wernes, who's in the Hall of Fame as well, passed away in 2008, and we started a college fund for his daughter, who is now a freshman at JMU. So we this year for the first time got to make 2 payments towards her college, and then we've donated I think about $33,000 to the breast cancer charities over the 15 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So, very good. Any other fundraisers that the rugby club is part of?
I mean, that's our big one. Every year, and then we do some smaller stuff or other volunteer. Like we volunteered at the triathlon the last couple of years, at the sign-up tents or do some smaller things like that. But that's our big one every year is the B Cup.
Awesome. Obviously, there's a bar here with the Star Hill tap at the clubhouse, so drinking is some affiliation with rugby. Do you see any of the like hooligan kind of behavior going on typically with rugby fans?
No, that's kind of the difference between soccer and rugby. Rugby is much more if you're a rugby fan from the other team, it's like, you beat us this time. I mean, on social media, you wouldn't, it's as awful as probably anything else is, but like I've been to multiple World Cups. I've sat I sat next to an Argentinian guy as Wales lost, which is my team, to Argentina this year, and we're both just like, as we're just both having a great time cheering on our teams next to each other. The fans sing songs, but it's much more of a if you meet somebody that plays rugby, you've got an in.
Very cool. Absolutely. Well, that's all I have for you today, Jeremy. I appreciate you being here with us, and good luck this season.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. Thank you.